parents protect. It's our responsibility, our job, right, to protect our kids from danger, or so we think. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson says we've got it wrong there. She wants you to stop protecting and start teaching your kids to resist instead. Heather's joining me with 6 things all parents need to stop protecting their kids from. I'm intrigued and surprised already. You say the focus and emphasis on protecting our kids is hurting not just our kids, but it's hurting us as parents.
It is. It's hurting both. So here's the thing. This idea of protection, and this is a huge mental shift, right? We are raised and trained to protect our kids.
I feel wired.
I know. We're just wired that it's our job, and if we're not protecting them, then we're not doing our job. But here's the thing. We have swung way too far the other direction in this idea of protecting them. And so we're way over here at this extreme, and what happens is when we protect our kids, overly protect them from these things we'll talk about, what we find is that they're not able to learn and grow. They don't develop their own skills and capacities to tackle when challenges show up. We know that kids who are overly protected, they actually are more anxious because then they face something in real life and don't have any of the skills to navigate it, and so their anxiety increases. We also know that kids have this overinflated idea of what life looks like. They think that when they're protected, there isn't any challenges, nothing hard ever happens. Well, anybody who's older than 7 knows that life is full of challenges, and they come at us in all different ways. And so it hurts our kids. It also hurts us, because it puts us in this position where we are trying to obtain something that is not possible. We set ourselves up every day to try and protect our kids from ever facing anything hard. That's not possible. We can't do that. Our kids will face things. And not only that, so we've already set us as parents up to fail, then we put ourselves in positions where when they do struggle, we decide that it's because we haven't done a good job protecting them. And so now we make it about us, and now we're actually blind to what our kids really need, to what our teenagers, our young adults actually need from us as parents. So it's gonna hurt both. It's hurting our kids and it's hurting us too.
Well, case closed.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing to say to that other than, I don't want to deviate too much from the list we're going to get into. I feel like you were just singing to my soul. I had a child a couple weeks ago who wanted to know about swear words. For all the reasons you described. She didn't want to be caught off guard. She wanted to know what she shouldn't say. We had a lesson on swear words. Anyway, I feel validated that might have been the right thing. Because I wanted to shelter her from, we don't even need to know those words. You don't even need to think about those words. But she was hearing those words and didn't want to be caught saying.
It's a beautiful example of exactly what we're trying to do here. Now, if you would have protected her, she would have been in this position where then she hears them and doesn't know what to do with that, or might not know what they mean, or what's appropriate, or if she uses them or doesn't, or how to even view the people who are using them.
It wasn't the car ride conversation I ever thought I would have as a parent, and the words I ever thought I would say to a 9-year-old. But anyway, thanks for validating me in that space. And let's move forward. You say we shouldn't be protecting, but we should be teaching our kids to resist. That's the antidote here.
It is. We're going to teach them to resist. So what this means is we want to teach them that when they're faced with a challenge, that they can withstand and not succumb to negative influences and pressures. That's resisting. It's not falling to. It's being able to withstand and not give into these negative pressures or negative situations that they're going to face. We have to teach them to do it. Because remember, it isn't a matter of if. It's when. They will face these things. So instead of keeping them from them, just like the swear words, right? She's already, or he's already hearing them at school. We've got to help them know what to do when they show up. That's resisting to be able to withstand.
6 things in particular that you would like parents to stop protecting their children from. This first one may land as a bit of a surprise. Stop protecting your children from pornography. Elaborate.
Yes, we've got to stop protecting them from pornography. Now, let's add to that. We are not saying that we open our homes and have no restrictions on phones and they watch whatever. That is not what we're saying. But this idea that we can keep our children from ever facing pornography, we can't do that. There will be a time when in some capacity they're faced with it. So instead of thinking we can keep them from it and keep them so sheltered they never deal with it, we have to teach them how to withstand and not succumb to those things. One of the best ways actually is what you just described doing with swear words. We have to communicate with our kids about pornography. Now, here's the thing. If you think about it, our children are faced with something pornographic in some way, right? Something that has some sort of sexual nature behind it every day most days.
A billboard.
In their phones, advertisements,
Yeah.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
everywhere they look, this is happening. Not only that, they're carrying it with them in their back pocket. Now, when we look at what happens in our homes, to elaborate on this one, we tend to have one, maybe two discussions with our children about sex over the course of their 18 years in our home. We have the talk. We hit it once, we gear up for it, we're uncomfortable doing it. This has to be something we're talking about all the time in order to help our kids resist. We want them to be pornography resistant instead of thinking that we can keep them from ever having to deal with it.
So it's the slow drips.
It is. It's the daily even drips with all of these things. It's every day. Being willing to talk to them and teach them and work through things with them instead of saying, don't worry about those words, you never have to hear them again, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or just walk away. Or you know what? Just ignore. We can't do that. And pornography, we've got to start there. It is rampant.
So we're labeling it, we're calling it out, we're describing it, and we're continuing to mention that this is around us, and here's what we do about it.
We're going to talk about it all the
Yeah.
time in appropriate ways.
Okay.
Yep, all the time.
Next on your list, negative emotions. Stop protecting your kids from feeling sad, mad,
Yes.
hurt, and all of the above.
Yes. Instead, teach them what to do when they feel those things, right? 50% of what we feel every day is negative. On average, what
That's
you
a
and I
bummer.
feel, I know when you look at it that way.
Yeah.
Or we can look at it and go, how cool is it that every day we have opportunities to learn what to do when we feel negative emotion? Because that's happening. So we want to teach them to be resistant to it, which means when they experience it, to know how to act as a result of what they feel.
How do we teach that?
Instead of, well, there's lots of things to start with. One, just normalizing negative emotion is the most important thing.
Okay.
Let them know that it's okay to feel negative. It's okay to feel mad or to feel sad. And then we can teach them that the way they feel isn't a fact, which means it's not a hard and fast rule. They can do something with it. Even just teaching your kids, young or old, that one understanding, your feelings aren't facts. That puts them in this beautiful position where they go, wait, then I can be in control of this. And now they can be negative emotion resistant, right? Instead of protecting them from ever having to deal with the negative emotion.
Failure. We need to stop protecting our kids from failure.
Yes, which means we have to teach them that what other people think doesn't determine if they're okay. We have to allow them to fail. This is again where as parents we've swung so far the other direction, right? We want to protect them, keep them safe. We don't want them to feel uncomfortable or hurt, but we need to let them fail and even provide opportunities where there will be great challenge, where they might actually fail a little bit.
No, that's interesting. I find myself, especially, and I'm in the younger phase, but thinking of, I want them to feel success too, because that encourages motivation, right? They win on the soccer field or they're part of a team and they succeed, and that does something for their confidence. But you're saying seek out the failures too.
Yeah, let them be there, right? And the fact is, failure is all around us.
Yeah.
So it's not even that we have to go like formulate or concoct it as much as we have to just not stop it when it shows up.
Okay.
And then teach them what to do with it. Failure is not bad. In fact, we need to help our kids understand that failure is the plan. It is not just part of the plan or secondary. Failure is the plan. It is everywhere. And we need them to be comfortable with it, right? To know what to do when it shows.
How are we protecting our kids from pain?
Yes, we do this all the time when we keep them from having to do anything hard, when it's physically challenging. You know, I can think of a million times with this one that it happens in our home now, and even growing up with my parents, where there would be one more, you know, I don't know, set of whatever on the tennis court, even though I was exhausted and felt so tired. The pain of having to solve a problem or look something up myself when I know full well my dad could have just spelled it for me. I mean, these are very small ways that we try to safeguard our kids, protect them from having to feel pain. It's painful to have to work through some of these things.
Yeah.
And we go, okay, it's fine. Or they say, there's a 5K at school, I don't want to run. And we say, that's fine, I'll excuse you. No, let them go feel some pain that comes from running 3+ miles. Let them go do that and experience it. And then teach them what to do when things are painful.
30 seconds left. This last one, I imagine, represents in physical form that pendulum overshift that you talked about, risk.
Yes.
We got to stop protecting them from risk.
We've got to let them take. Now, obviously, we're asking them and allowing them to take safe risks, right? We're not having them run across freeways. We're being realistic here. But everything from climbing trees, right, to even running, it's so funny when we look at the research, when you have a child who's doing something risky, especially when it's physical, climbing on top of a jungle gym, running or racing down the street, and we say, slow down, don't trip. The more we actually try to protect them with words like don't trip, the more likely they are to trip. Right? The more that they're climbing the tree and we say, don't fall or you shouldn't be up there, the more likely they are to actually fall out of the tree.
What does risk look like for teenagers really quickly? Like, I think it's easy to think of my 5-year-old who's climbing the jungle gym, and I've told how I felt mom shamed by all the other parents thinking, you're going to let her do that? How can we promote risk in our teenagers?
Yeah, risk is going to be in the situations, again, that they're naturally facing. Risk could be them taking a class at school that maybe is a little above what they think they can do, but it's being encouraged. It's trusting that when we give them car keys, that they're going to take that risk to go out and not only get where they need to go, but come back at curfew, right? Yeah. Those are all risks that they're taking. It's being friends with someone and negotiating what a friendship looks like. These are all situations where we want to we try to protect, right? No, don't go there. You can't attend that, and I'll drive you. Instead of, guess what? You have your license. So let's learn the route and let's learn what we do, and then let you take that risk to go explore it.
I find this conversation, Heather, so calming and also so confidence-inducing. Like, once we take away the pressure to protect, and then we arm ourselves with this lens of let's help them resist instead, it's a total shift, like you described.
Completely
but
different.
It feels good. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was a thinker. Heather counsels families and individuals. To contact her for coaching, you can find her information on our website.